Hi, for today's video, I wanted to try the Sailor Hocoro dip pen. I have a duo of them, so I have 1.0 and uh, the fine nib, and then I also have it in 2.0. So I have three of these nibs and one of the pen component. So the very cool thing about this dip pen is that you can have multiple heads and you can interchange them for whichever width size you want. It either comes with an ink holding well of sorts or it's just bare. So these two have come without it, as you can see, but the 2.0 comes with it. So let's open all of them up. Here's what I'm talking about. So this gray part right here, it can hold a lot more ink, but since these are empty, it will hold less. So I'm okay. I'm thinking that maybe I'll do the fine. I'll write with the fine for a paper and like a page and see how long it'll write, like how many times I have to dip the pen. And then for this 2.0, I'll keep the gray, well, I'm I don't know what else to call it. Like it holds the ink well. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna call it. For the gray or the gray ink well, I'll keep it on the 2.0, and then the fine will be bare. So I'll do two, and then you know what? I'll do the 1.0 as well because why not? They're all interchangeable. So let's go. I'm going to, for continuity's sake and to gauge everything correctly, I'm gonna just use the same ink. So I'm going to use my diamond writer's blood, which amazing. I have the 80 ml bottle. And the reason I'm using this ink is because I am well familiar with this ink flow and how it works and just its properties. So I would suggest whenever you're trying either a new pen or an ink, if you're trying a new pen, then go with an ink that you're familiar with so you understand the workings of the new pen, whether it writes wet, dry, or it has gunkiness in it. That way you can judge the pen. But if you have a new ink, then put it in a pen that you know very well and use constantly. That way you can judge the properties of the ink. Since this dip pen is new to me, I'll be using an ink that I'm very familiar with. So, and also I have like a huge bottle, so endless supply. This is like a lifetime supply, honestly. So let's go. Let's start with the fine since it's the smallest of the bunch. So here's how it. So here's the Sailor logo, and then here's the ink or the place where the nib unit goes. So the very cool part of this dip pen is that you can just cap it. So this is how you cap it, and you can travel with this, which I really appreciate because you can just throw it in your pen case and you're ready to go. And here's how you apply it if you want to use it. So it's like a self-capping pen. Pretty cool. Okay. For the writing, I'm going to use my trusty Muji V6. This is where I do all my samples. Like all of these are samples that I've done. Muji is just a good value for money, and this paper handles fountain pen inks and just the pens in general really well. So, okay, I'm going to write the first chapter from The Phantom of the Opera. It's one of my favorite books, and I'm currently reading it, so it was out. Okay, so I wrote one, two, three and a half, or I guess four. I wrote 4 lines of this B6 notebook, and it's like dried up. So by like the 4th line, your ink will start running low. So this can write quite a bit for a dip pen, you know? I'm just gonna finish this paragraph. I think it'll go till here, so I think I'm gonna have to dip it once more. Here's how much ink it holds, in case you're wondering, and that's how much it wrote with this much ink. But this is how much it can write. I dipped it, I think 4 times, and it could go 2 more lines, but this is basically it. It doesn't write that much, but I think it's still pretty good. I think the real test is going to be with the inkwell that is present in the 2.0 nib. Okay, onto the 2.0 with the nib unit. Let's put her in. Okay, so the easy way to find out how to put it in is there's a little divot, and that is where the back goes. And then you just, it clicks on. You can hear the click. So it's all very user-friendly and easy to understand. So let's see. With the fine, I had to dip 4 times without the inkwell to write a paragraph. And all these paragraphs are the same length. So I think this is a good test. Or actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just write the first paragraph. That way it's like easy to gauge. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to do the right page with the inkwell. So here's where it ends. It's already written so much more. Also, this is so wet. It's like almost black, but it's already written so much more. So it ends at like the proper where you can see is young ladies of the, and that is where let's see. Here's where on the fine it ended. I think this was where I had already dipped the pen twice. With one dip of this 2.0 with the inkwell, it writes as much as it did with the fine with 2 dips. And you can clearly see because this is where it started running out of ink. So I had to dip it twice here. So that's the inkwell really does make a difference. So I'm going to take it out, and on this page I'll write without the well so we can see. Or I think I'll just write here because it's going to take, I think, just 2 lines and we'll be over. So let's pop this out. There we go. Now this comes out, and here's the inkwell that I've been talking about. This is what it looks like. It's a rubber silicone kind of material, and it doesn't look like a lot, but it really does hold a lot of ink, as you can see. You see the little window? That's where the long pencil unit sips. The steel nib goes on the other side. I hope. Yeah, okay. Not where the inkwell is. So this is how it should look like once you pop it out. So you should have it on the other side, not on the window. And it's in. So now let's pop. This is what the back looks like. And now let's pop it on the pen part. And this is the divot that I was talking about. It matches with the divot here. And then you pop it in, and there's a click. This is what it looks like. Okay, let's start writing. This is how much comes out. Let's see. Chapter 1. Was it the ghost? It's already lightening up. And it's out. So one singular dip of this pen. There's some ink, but it's not coming out. Like, yeah, it's not coming out. So that's it. So one single dip without the inkwell writes just 2 lines. And this is how much it wrote with the inkwell. So the inkwell makes a huge difference. Now let's move on to the 1.0. I'll do it without the inkwell first and then with the ink. Well, I probably sound really stupid if that is not what it's called. If the silicone thing isn't an inkwell, then me just repeating it 100 times probably makes me sound kind of dumb, but it is what it is. Okay, let's pop it in. This is not dry. Okay, so this is 1.0 without the silicone inkwell. Let's see how much it can write. It's going to be the same thing. This is how much it holds. It holds quite a lot. That's pretty cool. Let's see, chapter 1. Was it the ghost? Let's see. Okay, that's how much it writes with a single dip for the 1.0. Now let's put in the inkwell. Okay, let's disassemble. Is it, yeah? The disassemble or disassemble?
Disassemble.
Okay, now this little divot right here will hook into this heart, which is again very easy. My nails is making it really hard to like put it in, but it should be easy if you don't have nails. And I'm sorry if you can't see. I'm trying to make it as okay. There we go. There was a click. I don't think you could hear it on camera, but yeah, you just make sure that the divot gets into the heart. And now this goes onto the raised side of this unit because the other side is empty. As you can see, there's a window, but then this bottom part is all empty. But then this side has the raised with the window. And now you're going to put this bottom part next to the raised cylindrical line. I'm sorry, this is not technical talk, but yeah, that's it. You're not going to put it on the window side. You're going to put it on the top side. And then this goes in and it should, there's no click sound, but I think it's in. Yeah, I think it's in. Yeah, it's in. You just have to like get it in. There's no click or anything. You just have to feel for it. And now let's put it onto the pen part. So this flat end goes on the back of this nib unit. And then this does make a click sound, so you have to just listen for it. And let's zoom out, and now we start writing. One dip, and let's go. The same thing. Chapter 1. Was it the ghost? Shimmer. Okay, so almost at the end of the paragraph, that took 4 dips of this fine nib, and with the 1.0, which is almost double of the fine nib, it wrote just as much as the fine nib without the ink. And the difference between the inkwell and without the inkwell is like substantial. You can write almost thrice as much with the inkwell. So it's a really good handy tool to have. Definitely if you want to write pages with your dip pen, this is a really good option, especially when you want to write with the really glittery, gunky ink that like really clogs up your fountain pens. This is a great alternative. So I really like this option that Sailor has. Okay, again, let's do the assembly. So here's the heart part of the nib unit. It's similar to Platinum 3776, which I will show at the end of the video. But the raised part, yeah, there we go. The raised part goes into the heart. So what I do is just like slide it down and it hooks on. Yeah, there you go. It hooks on. And then here's the raised part. You put it onto the circular portion because there's a flat portion right here, but it goes onto the circular portion, and then you just push it in. Just jam it in. I think this is going to write this half page and this full page as well, which is why I left them empty. So let's get started. Again, just to say this was 4 dips, this entire half thing. So let's see how much a singular dip with the inkwell takes. Okay, the ink is almost done, and I only have 7 words left of the paragraph, which is and the rest giving little yelps of terror. So 8. And that was with one singular dip with the fine nib and the inkwell. Whereas for the same paragraph, it took me 4 dips of the fine nib without the inkwell. So the inkwell really, really makes a big difference. And you could write like almost a full page of B6. This is the B6 size with 2 dips of the fine nib inkwell. So I think this is a great option for the shimmery inks. And if you want to do a marathon writing session, I will say though, I have written like I've written 2 pages of this B6 with this dip pen, and it is a little hard on my thumb, but it might just be how I'm writing and using. So I do have a tendency to really grip my pens, not too much, but I do use a little bit of, what you say, force, a little bit. I do like grip my pens. So it does put a little bit of a force on my thumb because it does have like a big opening right here. So my thumb is, it doesn't hurt, but I do feel like I've written 2 pages with it. So in terms of like the comfort of the pen, it is, I would say 7 out of 10 for me. You saw how I wrote it. So if you have similar writing tendencies as me, it'll be similar on you. What else? I think, so I got this set, which is the fine and the 1.0 mm. This set does not come with the inkwell. I think you can only get this with the 2.0, or maybe you also get it if you get the 1.0 separate. I know that there's also the Fude, and then I think there's a medium nib unit as well. So I think those are the options. My phone and my light battery both died, so here's a footage again. But there's 4 nib options, and then you can buy the nib feed separately, or if you get the 2.0 or the Fude nib, you get the nib feed with it. Yeah, that's about it. Bye.